Greg Locke here.
Whoops.
Hey guys, Pastor Greg Locke here. You know, the Bible says, when my heart is overwhelmed within me, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. One of the most difficult realities about life is our deep levels of brokenness. We all walk in some sort of brokenness. You see this red crayon? This red crayon has creative value. It has an ability to color and to write. It can draw, it can construct, it can really write out anything that your heart and mind can imagine and that your hand can carry out. But if I were to take this crayon and break it in half, like some of you feel extraordinarily broken right now, maybe your marriage, maybe it's an addiction, maybe it's something at school, maybe you feel like you'll never measure up, your looks, your weight, your habits, your financial instability, whatever it may be. But you know, the interesting thing about this crayon is no matter how many times I break it, it still has the ability to write. It still colors. It still manages to produce the very thing that it was intended and created to produce. So it really doesn't matter how broken you are. It doesn't matter how broken I am. God uses our brokenness for His glory, for our good, and also as a platform of pain so that we can be a blessing and a benefit to those around us. So at the end of the day, even broken crayons still color and write properly. And no matter how broken you feel today, God still has great value and great purpose for what you're going through this very moment. Because the brokenness, well, it always leads to the blessedness.
Amen. That was good. Hi everyone, this is Amelia Duran. Sorry for all the technical difficulties with the audio. I'll play the tune after the show. Talking about self-worth and healthy boundaries. This is going to be a hard show for me because I'm going to open it up a little bit. It's been a rough week for me. I know that a lot of my family and friends tune into the show. You know, a lot of them are on edge. You know, they're afraid of what I'm going to say. They probably don't like that I have the porthole to justice. And I have a lot of insight to share, a lot of life experiences. And, you know, in regards to a lot of what's occurring in the foster care system and the brokenness that it creates, and what we now are really seeing the effects. Oh, hi. Jedi. Are you there? Hi.
Hello.
I was...
Filling up on my phone.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. I didn't want to do this show alone. And
no problem.
My best friend Jedi is joining us. Welcome to the Porthole to Justice, the window to the truth. I know you can relate to this topic.
Okay.
Self-worth and healthy boundaries. I know.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I know you personally have been discriminated against, and so I kind of wanted to invite you onto the show because, anyways, I'm going to start with, I want to talk about a little girl that at a very young age was objectified and hoisted into a very superficial world, and the drugging that goes on to the children, not just, I mean, this is kind of a sensitive topic that I'm going to go into, not just because they have behavioral issues, but because it's convenient for the parents and their preferences, or potentially it allows abuse to occur without the consciousness of the child. And I want to talk about, you know, it's not okay to send a child off into the world at 15 years old with a 30-year-old man, okay? And I'm probably making a lot of family and friends nervous right now. A lot of what it occurs, you know, in not just in the system, but in our society and culture, that we have become somewhat numb to, or we just don't want to hear it. It's not okay, and we need to talk about it, as uncomfortable it is as it is. And I want to say to the foster children that tune into my show, you may be broken, and you may be feeling really lost, but you are worthy, no matter how broken you are. And you are here for a purpose. And your truth and your testimonies are so important. And the reason I do, and the whole reason I do this show, is because I know so many are tuning in that are lost and broken. Not just the children, but the families as well. And it's not okay that we don't, it's not, we talk about the corruption and we talk about the fraud that creates these circumstances, but it's not okay that we as a society are continuing to perpetuate this abuse. And I wanted to come on the show, and I really wanted to talk about that. And I know, Ryan, I know that you personally have endured, you know, a lot. And I want to say, like, I want to mention, you know, because I know you've been doing a lot of motivational speaking, and it's so important that we have healthy boundaries, and we don't allow that negativity that's being projected onto us determine our worth or our futures. And no matter how broken we are, you can still color, you can still paint, you can still create. And God is a creator, and He loves creation and creators. And I just want to say, like, I wanted to say that from my heart. And I guess I'm really upset because for so long I've had so much projected onto me, and especially by family members, because they want to justify probably some really bad choices that they made. And there is no justifying it, and I don't accept it, and I will not tolerate being disrespected, and you shouldn't either.
Nobody should be should tolerate other people's perception of the world onto them. And you know a lot about me. We're best friends. So the issue that we have here is that from birth we have society who rejects what a person is. Not only that, but we're raised within that society, and it forms our conscious thoughts, and it actually ends up hurting people more than it does good. Look, there's the issue of kids that parents wanted one thing and then they end up with a different thing, and then they reject that thought of having something that's special. All children are born special. All children are blessings. I don't care what gender they are. They're still blessings. We also have the problem of, if someone swims against the grain, they're ousted.
I surround myself. I don't, there's a lot of people that I don't agree with in the port and in the social media news network, but I surround myself with authentic people.
You have to be true to you.
I live an authentic life. And
well, that's just it. It's finding who you are and not living within the social boundaries of what social people in society has forced upon other people.
The establishment and society is so toxic and dysfunctional right now.
Absolutely. And then we're sending our children into situations where it's even more toxic. I have a 24-year-old son, and he's always been against the grain. He has Asperger's, and he thinks outside the box. And, oh boy, something has to be wrong with this kid. And, nothing's wrong with him. Nothing is wrong with him. God has made him special and unique, and he has different abilities than other people. And, I despise, even though we've been trained to use the word disability, I despise that word. It affects people in such a negative way. We don't see the true them. We just see the disability. Society has trained us to see the disability, the dysfunction in the world. They don't train us to see as small children, and that's where the training starts. They don't teach us acceptance, empathy, compassion. Look, one thing I point.
One thing that I see, Ryan.
Go ahead.
I mean, Jedi. And I just want to say really quick, because I didn't really do I had some technical difficulties. Jedi, you are an activist and an advocate for children and families in distress. And you've been on the show before, and you have a unique niche in the movement as far as who you are and where you come from. You've been discriminated against quite a bit.
My whole life, because I don't fit within the societal norms. I have never fit since birth. I've never fit in societal norms, or had to been something wrong with me. So I've had to deal with that. There's something wrong with me, and there's actually nothing wrong with me. It's society forming a grain
not just
of
that.
what
I
I should
not
be.
Just that. From birth, truly, you were projected onto.
Yeah, my mom even did it. My mom projected onto me a lot. It's difficult. It's definitely a difficult life. I've just learned to just swim my own distance and do my own thing, and do exactly what God had ordered me to do, and that's just to love and show compassion and empathy. And you've seen me come a long ways in 2 years, Amelia. I went from being a very dark person to, oh look, the sun's shining this morning.
It's amazing. You've come a long way. And I know, a lot of people haven't listened to some of the archive shows, and I know it's kind of uncomfortable, but you have a unique perspective that most people don't have and don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I was born with dual gender, meaning I was born intersex, or, you know, they use so many names for what I am, and a hermaphrodite, and they consider those people broken. They don't fit within the normal societal rings. So you're broken. You're broken from birth. You're altered from birth. You're denied your true identity. It's devastating for a child to go their whole life thinking one thing and then all of a sudden finding out that they're another thing, and it's devastating. You know, and then you have your parents who project a lot on you. My mom projected a lot. Her own anger, her own frustrations, you know, and, you know, you grow up with that. I'm a more gentle parent, though. You know, I don't care as long as my kids are happy, they're healthy, they're productive. Look, I have a 24-year-old son that he got tired of society dumping stuff on him, and he chooses to live homeless because he's happier there. He has nothing. He has the clothes on his back, and he gets food when he needs food, and he works odd jobs when he needs money, but he's happy. And, you know, that it's not what every parent wants for their child. I fought it for a long time, Amelia. I didn't like it that he was trying to do that, but I sat with him and I spoke with him, and this is what makes him happy. And what parent doesn't want their kid happy, you know?
Yeah.
You know, what was amazing, I don't know if you saw the video of his birthday, and he honored me, and he recognized that, you know, I'm one of the biggest influences in his life. Mm-hmm. And he never had to swim with the social norms. I'm truly blessed that my kids don't have to swim with the social norms. They can be them. And that's the most important thing, is that in society we realize that, you know, what you see is crazy. And Amelia knows me pretty well. I'm a country boy, and I don't see that as crazy. I see that as, you know, hey, you know, crazy strolls in, and, you know, it's a little bit of entertainment for a while. They get themselves together and they get better. Mm-hmm. We're so quick to judge and shove medication and shove a status.
I want to touch on this a little bit because I know that you have personal experience. We're seeing the topic of transitioning and transgenderism, and it's seeped into Child Protective Services, and some of these children are not even able to go through the maturation process and navigate puberty without they're being drugged, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. You know, well, we also have parents, and okay, you're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on it, and the viewers and the listeners are probably going to be like, "What the hell?" Look, you have parents out there that they want one gender, okay, in their children, and their children will be born a boy or a girl, and that's not the gender they wanted. Simple as that. So then now they're forcing what they perpetuate and what they want onto their children. Now, because I was born both genders and I was altered at birth, I got a lot of that perpetuation done on me. And it's affected who I just couldn't be me. It was very damning and damaging. You'll get parents that wanted a boy, and they'll constantly throw it in their kid's face, or they've gone so far as to now alter the gender of that child. I'm seeing more and more of that, and it's frightening. It's completely frightening. Then when these kids get older, because they've had their parents who perpetuated things that a person that they're not, are committing suicide. And now we're all in a frantic mode as society. Oh my God, what do we do about all these suicides? What do we do about all this stuff? And you know what we do? We stop perpetuating what we want on other people. We start accepting them for who they really are. What about that? In England, we had that issue, Amelia, where a boy, kids experiment. in life. You know, I have boys, I have girls. The girls dressed up as boys, the boys dressed up as girls. They're kids. They're fucking kids. Excuse my French, guys, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
And think they can fly, and also like to wear nail polish. You know?
They believe in the Easter Bunny. They believe in Santa Claus. They believe in, you know, the Tooth Fairy. I mean, come on, guys. We're dealing with kids. That's realistic. They're children. They're going to, you know, they dress up as everything. And now, just because they're playing dress up, we're going, oh, well, that's their gender. Let's alter that. Okay, now we're going to shove hormones down their throat. You know, I, as a child, because of who I was born, you know, being born in both genders, and it was easier to make a boy into a girl than a girl into a boy, I had hormones shoved on me at a very young age. So I'm only 5 foot, Amelia. Mm-hmm. I should be much taller. You know, I had hormones running through my body that weren't even supposed to be there. Yeah, I had both, but that just perpetuated the problem. We deal with, you know, that's a tough subject. You know, it's a very tough subject. And, you know, I see people going, oh, well, I want gender neutral. Now let's put, you know, no gender. Mm-hmm. Now the gender's X they're putting on birth certificates. Really? Really?
And you know, the thing is that really bothers me and that disturbs me is that they're doing this oftentimes before the children go through puberty and are still going through the maturation process. This is a permanent, these hormones they're permanent. You have to take them for the rest of your life, right?
Correct. Or you could be like me and just stub up and tell them to shove them up their asses.
Okay, we're a family show here.
Well, you know, that's realistic. I mean, you know, the realistic thing is they cause cancer. Because of me being dumped on hormones at such a young age, I've fought off testicle cancer and ovarian cancer. And it's caused by added hormones, synthetic hormones. They weren't natural to my body. You know, we're not realizing that these things that we're dumping we're causing a chemical imbalance. Not only in the hormone area of the body, but we're causing it in the brain too. Female brains were completely different than male brains. Men think more on a logical side. Women think more on an emotional side. There's huge differences. So now you're adding hormones to children that, God, no, just God, no. We're all going, you know, I believe that society as a whole, because, you know, we're accepting so much of this and we're causing such damage to generations.
Just for the listeners, that you prefer what gender, and obviously you identify...
Well, I really don't prefer gender. I'm just Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Well, you identify male.
Yeah, I identify male more than anything else, but I'm just Ryan.
Yeah.
I hate being stuck in a box, and I get upset when I have to be stuck in a box because I'm neither nor.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, it took a long time for me, if I would have been accepted as a child and, you know, taught to accept myself, I would have gone a lot further. So it's taken me many, many, many years, Amelia, to reach this point where I'm okay with just me. It was painful. It's a very painful process, especially for children in my position. You know, then you wonder where you're supposed to be in society, and this is exactly what they're doing with transgender children. They're putting them in a position where they don't know where they fit in.
Well, it also, it's you know, when you project onto a child who is pretty much very vulnerable and powerless, you're disempowering them. And,
absolutely.
And I think that the system that we've created is built on disempowering. They make money off of people that are failures. They don't make money off of empowered human beings. And
Correct. The more they can disable a person, the more money they can make off of them. Look, there's a bond over every single one of our heads. We're traded on the stock market like a piece of paper. We're garbage. Reality is garbage. And the more they can disable us so that we're not thinking or being empowered for ourselves, the more control they have over us.
And the more that they project, can project onto us, which often happens in the CPS courts with absolutely no due process to these children and families. The more that they can project on us, the more money they can make.
Absolutely. Our children, and this is more about them projecting more. Look, for parents that are going through the CPS, look, I've gone through CPS for almost 22 years. My son just turned 24. It's all started with, actually probably longer than that. And I was just been targeted. And it was always my gender. My gender was the issue. It wasn't the fact that my child was happy, healthy, normal, productive. He was in sports. He did after school events. It was never anything like that for me. And, for parents that are being so discriminated against, this isn't about us. It's about our children. They're going to alter society as much as they can. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The more damaged people they have, the more control they have over everybody. The more drugs they can pump into people, the more less productivity they get out of people, the easier it is for them to trade us off. That's why you have an elite class.
I did an interview titled "The Bounty on Our Children's Heads" on Victorious Libertas, and I talked about, the culture of human trafficking. And when I say culture, I say it because to some extent we've all become accepting of this in our culture. They're
like it's a norm.
So we don't really have a clear picture on the epidemic or just how bad it is in the United States. And human trafficking isn't something that is happening in some third world country. It's happening here in the United States. And I really wanted to explain that, because when we talk about no due process, we talk about fraud on the court, we talk about disempowered human beings that are being projected onto and discriminated against and disempowered for life with, permanent records being placed on indexes that destroy their lives.
25 years, and it's you're on that index that you get placed on. You're placed on the same thing as a pedophile, even if you're not a pedophile. Placed on this index, and it has pedophiles on it, and it makes it very difficult for them to get apartments. It makes them difficult for them to get jobs. We're destroying a whole society.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to allow somebody to listen in to the show. Maybe join. I was, in the beginning of the show, when the show first opened up, I was talking a little bit about, my experiences, and it's really hard to talk about. Okay. Let's see if this works. Hi, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm in one of those moods too. Don't feel bad. It's one of those mornings.
Oh yes, the beginning of the show, the top of the show, healthy self-worth and healthy boundaries. So a lot of projecting goes on with the children, and a lot, and it has to do with disempowering people and creating a culture of failure that they can profit from.
Absolutely. They've done that to me, so it's a tough situation, you know. It's society waking up slowly to what's really going on. Although in the process of the society waking up to what's really going on, there's a lot of hatred instead of love, compassion, empathy. I mean, people were blinded at one time, and I'm noticing as society wakes up, Amelia, that they're becoming hateful.
Well,
that's been real difficult for me
because they've been, you know, we're slowly waking up, but there's so many layers of lies and disinformation, so much that you have to weed through to get to even get to the roots of the issues that, you know.
Correct.
And I don't, people get angry. They get angry, but we have to focus.
Absolutely, you know, people are angry about it, Amelia. I agree with you 100%.
Focus on healing the damage, not
perpetuating more damage.
Not perpetuating the problems, you know, and keep the system is broken, and it needs to be, you know, when you have no oversight of a government agency and you have unlimited funding, and every year you're claiming that you're understaffed and you need more funding, no matter, you know, if you're being audited and you don't implement any of the, I think in like 50 years, you don't implement any of the recommendations from the results of those audits, and you continue to claim that you're understaffed, and that's why you're having so many problems and fraud and money laundering and child trafficking in the system. I'm sorry, sometimes things have to be rebuilt. Totally destroyed, shut down, and rebuilt.
Absolutely. You know, well, Trump's been you know, a lot of people don't agree with Trump's methods, but if you pay attention to his madness, there's a method in it, and he's doing that right now. He'll shut down the government. He's like, okay, fine, you guys want to be babies, you guys want to keep trying to sap the American people for more and more money, we'll just shut down the government. You know, he's a businessman. He'll shut down a business if it's not working. Well, this business isn't working. This business is damaging people more than it's doing good. And, you know, we have a lot of people not recognizing that. They would rather be under a government that gave to them than they would to recognize the true meaning of independence. It won't be so cute when the government's coming to your house all the time, checking to make sure that, you know, you're doing what you're supposed to. What they feel you should be doing. They're already doing that.
We need less government. We need more real tools and resources for healing and empowering people. And right now, the way the system is made up, it's created to profit off of breaking people, breaking them down, and creating failure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, there is no such thing as independence in America today. You know, we'll touch on a few things. You can't have solar and go completely off grid. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't collect rainwater. You know, a God-given resource, and you can't collect it. It's total control, and people aren't waking up to it.
I think a lot of people are awake, but they feel disempowered, and they feel like they don't have a voice, and it doesn't count. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Our testimonies can be archived and can be, they can be substantiated. And I think it's so important that we speak our truth and that we live more authentic lives. That's revolutionary. I posted...
Yeah, absolutely.
I posted on my the other day on my personal profile on Facebook. I talked about, I got up in the morning and I was watching a man, he was talking about his childhood on Facebook Live. And, clearly he had it rough. And I started praying. I started praying for this man I didn't even know, we need to shake off the shame. It's not ours. We shouldn't own it.
Correct.
And
I agree.
Anyways, I wrote a post and I was saying, good morning, peeps. Sometimes you have to break down, break to be broken open. Praying because you never know what's behind another's smile or what they go through. And they're still smiling for you. Sometimes you have to let the pain in to heal and be stronger in the broken places.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, for not just for myself or for what, we go through, because you and I are we talk all the time. On a bigger picture, everything is crumbling, everything's being exposed, so much is coming to light. And people feel more and more like they don't have control or power. And I think the natural instinct is when an animal is backed into corner, the natural instinct is to fight, I guess that's why I wanted to do this show and have you on, because even in the beginning when you and I started working together, you were angry,
Absolutely. I was always angry. I was angry at the world I lived in. I was angry at the people I had to deal with. It was difficult. I've had a lot of people's beliefs dumped off on me.
And, I was on a thread that some people were commenting, and it was just so childish. Somebody was saying, well, you were doing a motivational live Facebook feed, and I was enjoying it. And then I see this person in the comments, and they're like, what is your gender? What is your sex? And I'm like, Ryan, don't answer that. What does that have to do with his message? It was just so childish.
It was very discriminative.
And at that moment, I realized, what they were that they were projecting onto you. It wasn't you. And I didn't like it. And I think as adults, we need to check that.
I'm in total agreement with that.
And it's the problem with some of these CPS social workers. They feel like they are doing, they feel empowered because they're quote unquote doing God's work. It's in their manual. and they look down on these people, and they're the ones that are projecting a lot of their toxic behaviors, toxic childhoods into these situations and these families and children. I see it all the time, and I know for a fact that some of it is just contrived bullshit, because that's what they're encouraged to do in their reports so that they can get the case substantiated. I've even had whistleblower guests on my radio show talking about this. She works in the CPS office in Los Angeles as a live scan technician. She does background checks. And she said, yeah, they all sit around and they contrive lies to ensure that the cases get substantiated.
That doesn't shock me.
That's in the archive shows on Portal to Justice.
I know that's horrible that I sit here and go, that doesn't shock me, because, I've dealt with the system too long. It's constantly contriving against people. And all it does is end up hurting people more and more and more.
Are you playing with your Legos?
No. Yeah, I'm a Lego builder. I'm a collector. They did that to me. You know about it. I mean, you've talked about that before in the past. About what they did to me. They just kept contriving bullshit, and I called the CPS worker out, and I was like, "What are you dumping off your childhood abuse issues on my family?" I'm a victim of childhood abuse as well, and I can spot. You can spot someone who's been abused, and you can spot somebody who is an abuser, and they would constantly, it was their own childhood abuse issues they're dumping off onto families. And it's hurting families. And, we're not giving these people who are running the show, and I'm going to say they're running the show because they're pathological liars. We're not giving these people psych evals.
We're dealing with people that, I think there's like two sides of the coin when you have when you've had a child abuse happen to you. There's either, you try to heal from it, you try to understand, you try to forgive, and you try to be a better person and help. You want to help. And then there's the other side of the coin, which becomes traumatized and truly psychopathic. Because you leave your body to deal with the trauma and the abuse that you go through. And this opens people up to all kinds of, toxic entities and behaviors, and sometimes people don't come back from that.
Absolutely. I would agree 100% with that.
Because
I've noticed that a lot of CPS workers that they have working for them are victims of childhood abuse.
And there's like a vacancy. There has to be an emptiness or lack of conscious, or empathy, in order to continue to do that type of work and move up within the ranks of that agency. There's, it reaches, when you've been there for a long time, it reaches a very dark level. There's a dark presence, a dark influence. You can feel it. You can
see it. It's very prominent. I don't know, maybe other people can't when they come in, but you can feel it, you can see it. Everything in your life gets turned upside down. I know for me, the minute that they walked in my door, I was like, okay, no, something's wrong here. Here we go. And I told my wife in private, I was like, look, you watch, things are going to go south real quick. Oh no, my wife's numb to it. No, and I said, no, this person.
And you want to believe Child Protection Services, a lot of parents will go into it believing that it's altruistic, and they want to protect children and unite families. No, it's absolutely not that. And these people are very two-faced, and they will come to your home without warrants. You will go to court, and you will come out with whiplash. Like, what the heck just happened? I got no due process, and they withheld my evidence.
Absolutely. Well, you're like a whipping post for them. You know, I said something to the CPS worker during mine. I was like, the only thing you forgot was the Vaseline. I felt raped. Yeah. I'm just being honest. There's exactly it.
I'm not laughing. It's not funny. It's not funny.
You feel raped.
We need to acknowledge as a society and collectively that we can't contribute to an agency that is warring on the children and families and is not acting in the best interest of the children.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. No, well, I've ran into some things lately. I'd say in the past year, where now the foster families are targets. Their children are now targets. There's a lot of bad foster families out there, but there are some good ones, and the good ones are being targeted now because they're not agreeing with what the system's doing, and now they're being, legal rape. Legal rape is what's happening.
It's absolutely sick, and it's to the point to where we have people in the movement that are hired by the CPS to come in to our groups and our networks and act like they want to be a voice and an advocate and an activist, and they come onto the scene really strong. They're gonna arrest the judges, or they're gonna go after that governor that's not investigating and the fraud on the court, and they're gonna take them down. And they really get the parents all like hyped up, and then they sabotage their cases, and they dismantle groups, and they try to discredit people like myself and you, and they go into the groups and they cause so much disharmony, chaos, and it's backbiting, and it's just there's so much jealousy and just like it's very toxic, and
or they put together team members that are incompetent of doing anything. It's affecting the whole movement.
The same thing in CPS, the same fashion, and they claim incompetence as if that's okay. We're dealing with children and families. Some of the activism and advocacy work that we do changes people's lives forever.
Absolutely. 100%. I also found out that, the more America veers from God himself, the more we fall deeper into this pit. Something else I want to touch on, is that I've been kind of watching what's going on across the world. I have friends from all countries, and when America does one thing, they follow. So America sets the tone for the rest of the world. It's kind of shitty that I say that, but they do. They set the tone for the rest of the world. So everything that we've initiated in America is finally hitting the UK, Ireland, England, Australia, New Zealand, Switzerland. It's finally hitting because America has set that tone.
Well, I talked about with some of my interviews with David Malkin, he opened up about, CPS starting a branch of the agency on all government bases globally. And, a lot of the tactics, he talked about the military tactics that they implore on the people all over the country. This happens all over the world. They start by targeting the economy and creating a poor and vulnerable class. And then they start doing false flags. And they go into these regions.
Which we're seeing a lot of.
And they go into these regions and where they have been bombed or they've been poisoned or the bio weapons and they go to these parents and they say, we'll take care of your kids temporarily until you find shelter or what have you. And the parents trustingly give over their kids. And what happens is they never see them again. Some of them get trafficked. Some of them get organ trafficked. Some of them get, sent to live with pedophiles. I mean...
Adopted out.
A lot of them get adopted out. I mean, we had the case, involving Laura Silsby, who now works for... A lot of people don't know this. But what's the name of that app where if a child's missing... what's the name of that? Oh gosh, I can't think of it all of a sudden. I'm having a...
Missing and exploited children?
Yeah, when a child's missing, you get a tone on your phone, and it's...
Yeah, the alert.
Amber Alert. Okay. Laura Silsby was caught trafficking Haitian children in Haiti, and she was arrested and jailed. Okay, and Bill Clinton had her released. And now she works as the head of that agency. And a lot of people don't know this, but if you're a civilian and your child goes missing, that child doesn't get to go on Amber Alert. Amber Alert is only for children that are in state custody and that are kidnapped by their own parents.
Even in state custody, they don't go on the Amber Alert.
Well, I'm
just telling you the truth.
A lot of times, I'm not saying this all the time, Ryan, but a lot of times, these children are taken from CPS group homes, CPS childcare, by their own parents, and they end up on the Amber Alert.
Oh, yeah, when it comes from the parents, but if they go missing in the system, they don't even hit that Amber Alert system.
No, well, sometimes they don't. I mean, if you go to missingkidsla.org, we have 800 missing children unaccounted for in Los Angeles. And some of them are listed as runaways as young as 1 or 2 years old.
Yeah, I don't think a 1 or 2 year old can run away.
And then I think in Arizona, there was some unaccounted for children recently.
We have 785 children missing from Arizona. That's some startling figures.
There's no accounting for this. This agency is so corrupt and so incompetent. I mean, I've been doing this for 7 years, and I would really like to see the collective and society. The first thing to healing our children and families is to stop this, to stop it. Our tax dollars are supporting the corruption. Senator Nancy Schaefer out of Georgia lost her seat in Congress because she exposed the Child Protective Services, which it is a protected empire.
Correct.
With unlimited resources, because every year when it comes to funding time, they claim that they are understaffed. That's why all of this happens.
No. But how it happens is because they protect the wrong kids, and they're just entrusting our children. Like in Arizona, pedophiles can be foster parents.
Not even kidding you. There are 1,000 registered pedophiles that are licensed foster care placements in Los Angeles.
Yep, And there's laws to protect them. Our own government put those laws in place
and
to protect
they
them.
have more rights as a criminal than regular, people with
As a sex offender.
nothing on their record. They have more rights in the courts. So, oftentimes, what happens is they will get the custody.
Yep. And this is where I've decided, you build the parents up. It's easier. Look, you can't fight a war with broken people. You just can't. And the United States know that. So you got to build up people in order to fight off what we need to do. And they make more broken people every day. So until we as a collective start fixing the damages that has been created by the government, this is what we're going to have. So you just got to become more and more healthy with your thinking, more proactive. People aren't proactive enough.
Exactly, more proactive, more healing, and more clear thinking. Absolutely.
It's hard. It's hard to be proactive. Look, first way to start healing is laughter. Laughter fixes everything. Well, I can't say fixes everything. I shouldn't say that, but it's a first step to healing. What they really want is to beat us down where you don't smile, you don't laugh, are not healthy enough to stand up for yourself. And then once you start feeling better, then you have a voice. I've noticed that amongst a lot of people that I've worked with, once you start getting them to the point where they're smiling and they're laughing again, they actually start building up self-confidence. Part of self-confidence is getting knowledge. The more you build your knowledge, the smarter you feel, the more self-confidence you develop. I have a mom that I've worked with, and she is just absolutely amazing in children's rights. And, she didn't know where to go. And I said, okay, well, you got to calm your thinking first. And she goes, what can I do to help? And I said, well, our children need rights. And that has been her goal for the last 6 months, is finding out exactly how all these rights come into play, human rights, children's rights.
I think we're one of
it's empowering.
Nationally, we're one of the last states to not have rights for children. I think maybe there's one or two others. Don't quote me on that.
No, the United States in general don't have no children's rights. Their exact words to the Geneva Convention that children fall under the Constitution. So they don't need children's rights in the U.S.
Yet the Constitution isn't being applied in the lower courts. Unless you're a criminal.
Well, criminals have due process, families don't. My son, you've seen pictures of my son carrying that sign. Mm-hmm. That's just reality. Criminals have due process, families don't. Family court and juvenile court, there's absolutely no due process.
Part of the dysfunction that's happening is that very often the abusers are getting custody of the children. This is broken.
Mm-hmm. I know a mother right now that's battling the family court system with grandparents, and the grandparents have been molesting the grandson for quite some time now. And the judge won't do anything. In fact, he has ordered more time with the child.
Yeah, because they profit, because they know that the healthy parent, protective parent, is going to fight and keep fighting to try and save that child.
Yep.
And so it's all about money. It behooves the court to do that because it generates more profit.
It's all about money. Money, 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 money. The system doesn't care about people or the children. They care about the money. Look, if she was a millionaire, they would rule in her favor. They really would. because she has the money to fight it off. But because she doesn't have the money to fight it off, they're ruling in the grandmother's favor because the grandmother has the money.
And then you have the circumstances where you have commissioners and judges that are already biased because of, you know, if the child was raised in the foster care system and is now a parent, they're automatically targeted and the children are removed.
Correct.
And then you also have circumstances where there are commissioners and judges that are accepting bribes. It may not be that much money, but if you're hearing a case every 10 minutes in the juvenile courts, at the end of the day, it adds up. And
Correct.
It convolutes the case and it snowballs. I mean, and this is really happening. I mean, we have profiled, you know, some of these judges that have actually been convicted of human trafficking.
Correct. We're seeing that in Arizona. With CPS cases. These judges are ruling in favor of CPS, and we've had 5 judges busted for pedophilia. Right here in Arizona. They shouldn't be on the bench, but they're still on the bench. How can you consciously rule in the best interest of a child if you're a pedophile yourself? It's appalling. It's absolutely appalling. How can a child? I'm doing this show today because we really need to stop appointing these people to power. People that are supporting this pedophile culture. We need to stop appointing them to places of power. Not just within the judiciary, but in politics, entertainment. It's an epidemic in the United States. It's truly appalling. Oh, and then the lovely thing that they clumped in now is the pedophiles with the GLBTQ community. That's, oh my God. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Just, no.
And that's, you know what, you'd be surprised, a lot of my gay friends say the same thing.
The GLBT community is up in arms right now because of this. There's actually a war within itself right now because of this.
It's caused so much division, and people don't realize how much division it's caused even in other movements. You know, the gender issue, politicizing private parts, sexualizing children. It's such a dysfunction, and at the bottom of it all is this government agency that's out of control, perpetuating the dysfunction and the war on the children and families.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Well, listen, oh my gosh, I'm going to wrap it up. Ryan, you're awesome. Yep. You rock.
Well, thank you. You rock too. I think we're seeing people become more calm. I know I've gotten more calm. I'm just kind of like, I know it's there.
I'm going to let you say one expletive before we end the show.
Fuck the system.
All right.
Fuck the system.
That's right.
My son says it. My son was the one who went through the system.
I know.
He was abused a lot through the system, and my son says it all the time. Fuck the system. So let's just move on. Let's destroy it. Let's get it out of the way. Let's start repairing children and families.
And start healing.
We need a lot of healing. And Christians need to, I'm going to state this. Christian, I know you have a lot of Christian viewers.
Mm-hmm.
You start acting like Christians, with God's love and empathy and compassion. You can't come out of anything out of hate.
And live an authentic life.
And I think that's where...
Live an authentic life. Tell your truth.
Absolutely.
That's how change is.
Live in your own truth.
That's right. Well, listen, I'm going to call you back because I'm going to play a Zeph tune to end the show. Ryan, thank you.
All right. Love you guys. Keep your head up. The sun does come out tomorrow. If you wake up in the morning and that sun's out, God bless you for another day to keep fighting the battle. There is, lights at the end of the tunnel. It's kind of hard to see right now. And always after a major storm, there's a rainbow. Always.
Awesome. God bless you.
God doesn't forsake us.
I'll call you back.
All right, bye.
Bye. Wow. That was kind of a tough show. It was hard for me. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. This has been another episode of Porthole to Justice, Off the Cuff. I am on Twitter, Instagram, and you can subscribe to Spreaker.com for free. All they want is your name and email address, and you can get email updates of when I go live on the Porthole to Justice, the window to the truth. Bye, everyone.